Hi, my name is Abby Ross, and I am the head of product at Curriki, and I'm going to do an overview demo of our CurrikiStudio. At Curriki, we are changing the way educational experiences are designed, created, and delivered to a new generation of learners. We're doing this because educational resources should be free, open, and easy, but they aren't yet. Right now, existing resources aren't interactive by design. They're stuck in a paper and pencil world, relegated to PDFs or Google Docs. Building a learning experience or an educational resource from scratch can be technical and expensive. Not only that, digital courseware today is designed for a traditional classroom setting and is not respective of all different types of learners. So what we're doing is powering the world's most immersive learning experiences. We do that with our product called CurrikiStudio. Without any coding knowledge, content authors can easily build lessons, courses, and experiences all for free. You can design, build, and publish them, and I'm going to show you how you do it today. Just to kind of orient yourself on what I'm going to walk through in the CurrikiStudio is I'm going to create a learning program, and then I'm going to go through the process of finding learning activity types to pull. We have a library of right now 40 different learning activity types, and hopefully that library of activity types continues to grow. I'm going to show how you add content to the different activities, create a playlist, arrange and rearrange them based on kind of what learning experience you want to have, and then how to publish that to your own environment or to a learning leading management system like Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology. And then ultimately what this produces is a way for learners to engage with your branded experience based on what you've created. I'll show you our different learning activity types. Right now in the library today, we have 40 different activity types for use, everything from a memory game to a quiz, to writing a substantive essay or doing an interactive virtual tour or video. We're then targeting to integrate with other open source technology partners because we want learners to have a 21st century learning environment, things like real-time collaboration through a Slack-like experience or hopping onto a video conference to maybe chat with a mentor. So these are things that will be coming in the future, and we're always looking for technology partners that can help integrate into our CurrikiStudio. A lot of times, content authors after I walk them through the studio, they're like, okay, now how do I get my learning experience into the hands of learners? So that's, kind of where the CurrikiStudio is partnered with our other product called Curriki Ego, which is essentially the packaged runtime of the learning experience so that you can one-click publish that. It really allows for that technology in the app that you've created in the studio to run in whatever environment you want to have. So that could be, your website or microsite, a mobile optimized experience, an actual mobile app where we give you the SDK, or inside an LMS, CMS, or even just a self-executable package. So learners engaging with your experience will never necessarily know that it was built on Curriki. They will experience your brand and your content as if you created it just for them. What this package includes is essentially the learning package of right now the 40 and growing learning interactions, the content that you add through the studio, and any sort of customized visual design that you might want to add. It also includes the library and user management based on your configuration. So how lessons are stored in the library, how learners or educators can then find lessons that are created, user reviews, and then authentication. Lastly is the ability to render and publish that. So browser-based content rendering, mobile-based content rendering, how the learners engage with the content that you've added in the studio, and then how we publish that directly to LMS systems. So with that, I'm going to hop in and give you a demo. So I'm logging into the CurrikiStudio right now. Cool. So you'll see some sample playlists that I've created. that are really arranged, that have high quality content already arranged in them. So one that I want to demo here quickly is from We the Economy. We the Economy is 22 videos that were created by famous directors and actors to explain elements of our economy. They're arranged, what is the economy, what is money, et cetera, et cetera. And what I've essentially done is kind of gone through, taken those videos from YouTube and then arranged them into playlists. So instead of kind of going through and needing to follow a complex PDF of how these lessons go through or a playlist on YouTube, I can go through and push them out to learners and then also use our tools to make this content more interactive. Another example is the science of golf. So we wanted to make the science, technology, and engineering and mathematical principles behind the game of golf interesting and engaging. Came from great NBC Learn and USGA content. What this example playlist is taking the engineering and design of golf balls. So kind of what we started with is a video about the science of golf, why golf balls have dimples on them. And actually, just to kind of show it, so if I've created multiple playlists or different activity types, I can easily arrange and rearrange and kind of drag and drop them. So just because I build it one way doesn't mean that it's kind of stuck like that during the ideation phase. So if I go through and then preview this project, which I'm going to do quickly, you can see how all of these lessons kind of fit together in a playlist, and then I'll go through them. So this is the interactive video. This video is hosted on YouTube from the USGA, and if you'll notice, there are little dots here on the bottom. If I play the video, and then fast forward to one of these little dots, you can notice, hey, why do golf balls have dimples? So we're actively asking the learner to engage with a video in a way that is more dynamic than just kind of watching. So asking the question, why do golf balls have dimples? They reduce wind resistance. Ta-da! Next. And I'll be walking through how we actually created this video in a quick second. Another one will pop up here. And so, smooth ball, let's get this one wrong. Right. Oops. So that's one experience of the interactive video. This kind of sets the stage for future activities. Next example is a drag and drop picture. Since you saw me get those right, let's see what happens when I get them wrong. These are all settings that I can control in the studio, which is, do they have right and wrong answers? How do we want to, reward or deduct points based on answers? Do we want to allow for trying or retrying? The next one is, given that this lesson is all about how golf balls got their dimples, we thought it would be interesting to put together a timeline of the origins of the golf ball, kind of build some background knowledge, and kind of give an overview of what golf balls were like in the 1600s. So kind of providing that interactive modality of instead of just a timeline, something that can be active and interactive and build that background knowledge. This is just an example of kind of a pretty brass tacks implementation of a vocabulary list in an accordion. This is something that could really be expanded on with some customization, adding videos, adding images, making it a little bit more dynamic, but really nice for kind of a reference. And then lastly, here is kind of a quick little quiz that is based on some of the principles that were covered in the previous exercises. Whoops. So in this one, you can see a little image acceleration. Check. Ta-da. Ta-da. Etc. So this is, an example interactive dynamic playlist that was created through the CurrikiStudio. I'm now going to walk through the process of how we use the video to create these. So I'm going to start by creating a project, exploring national parks. upload a project image. And then write a brief description. Create project. Okay. From there, I'm going to create a couple of playlists. So I'll start with a generic exploring national parks. And then let's do a deep dive tour of Yosemite. Okay. So I am not an instructional designer. There are plenty of people to do this better than I, but I did find a couple of good resources out there that I thought would be cool to just kind of demonstrate what exists out there and how this tool can make resources more interactive. So let's start with the Exploring National Parks. And we'll start with multimedia of a timeline. So how did the national parks, how about the history of the national parks? And we will pick an image. And then I can add some metadata, but for the demo, I'll just kind of leave that blank because it's a pretty universal exercise. Okay, so from there, the history of the national parks. So I am not a history person, and I know roughly how these came about, but I did find a resource on the internet with the National Park Service that did an overview of the history. And so if I'm a teacher or a student and want to learn about this is the resource that I have at my disposal. An old school history library to kind of consume this information. So it's kind of our goal is how do we make this a little bit more interactive and engaging using these tools of the studio. So I will start with the history of the national parks, and I'm going to add a background image because national parks are beautiful to look at and kind of fun. So let's do this beautiful picture of Zion. Okay, so I now can add dates. So just kind of using this content, 1871, and we'll just do that as the year. And this is the Yellowstone National Parks Act. And now I can add my body text. You know, if I was really a good instructional designer, I would probably make this a little bit more interesting. And then I can add in a photo, an image, a video, really make this dynamic. I'll add in another item here. Let's do, this is in 1906. And grab the content, just kind of copy and paste that over. And let's do one more. Let's do it a little bit later here. Let's do reorganization. Let's do Mission 66, which is a 10-year program. That is 1956 through 10 years. 1966, Mission 66, and bring this over, body text, awesome. So from there, I've added 3 example dates in my timeline. Let's go ahead and finish it. Wonderful. Okay, so I now have a new activity type of exploring the national parks. I want to go through and preview it. I can see how that came out. So I've got my different, I've got my timeline here, I've got the different things that happen. And mission 66, it looks like I plotted something on the wrong place, but so it kind of gives you a really nice overview of something that is a little bit more dynamic, a little bit easier to look at and put in context of history compared to this whole thing. I'll now show another kind of quick example of let's create a interactive video. So if we're going to do a deep dive of Yosemite National Park, let's create a resource. I'll do multimedia again, and this time we're going to do a interactive video. So hiking Half Dome, which is a really famous hike in Yosemite. I will use a picture of Yosemite as my thumbnail, and I'm going to skip the metadata. All right, so for this, I'm just going to call that hiking Half Dome. And add a video. For this, I can upload a video file, use any sort of hosted service. For this, I'm going to use YouTube because I found this video. Add that and insert. Okay, so I've got my video. Next step is adding interactions. So this is my video. It's 6 minutes long. And what I can do as the content author is I can move my video to a specific point and then embed a question. So I will embed a true/false question, and this feels like the best time. I can choose my timestamp, how long I want that prompt to play. I can choose, do I want to stop the learner and they have to engage with this, or should it just kind of be something that they're able to interact with? Display it as a button or a poster, label it. In this example, I'm going to say true/false. Yosemite is in California. And then I'm going to ask my question. Yosemite is in California. Correct answer is true. And then I can add some additional settings if I want around, do we want the user to be able to retry? Probably not a great idea for true/false, but a good idea for multiple choice. Show solution, and then some feedback for the learner on right or wrong, some growth mindset. And then you can add in adaptivity. So what happens if I get this question wrong? Maybe you jump me to another section of the video or jump me back if I get all correct, etc. So there's a lot of customization that you can do in just this video. I'm done adding this one, and you can see my little true/false question there. Let's add one more. And this time, let's add a multiple choice question. I'll pause the video this time and say Yosemite's best feature is mountains and valleys. This is correct, or this is correct, or open sky. And then I can say as something wrong, something right, or multiple correct options, multiple select, provide options for feedback and what are the different range and points you want to add. And again, a lot of the behavioral and adaptivity settings. So I now can say done. Great. I can now finish my video. All right, and I've got hiking Half Dome. I'll do one more just for the demo. For the Exploring National Parks, let's do an example of dialogue cards. These are kind of fun. So which national park is this? And then for this one, let's use the generic image. Cool. Continue. Okay, so for this, which national park is this? Different modes, do they just keep repeating or is it one and done? So for this one, I can say, which national park is this? And let's do Zion. I can add an image. Zion, boom. I can add image, audio files, etc. Really great, you know, as a language learning opportunity. Let's add one more. What's this? And this answer is glacier. Add an image, glacier. Cool. Wonderful. Okay, finish. Ta-da. All right, so if I now want to preview my program of all 3 of my learning activities, I can see how this goes from my national parks timeline into now the new thing I created. This is Zion. This is Glacier. So that's my first playlist. And then my second playlist is a deep dive of Yosemite, hiking Half Dome. And you can see my video with then the little prompts to engage. Ta-da. And it was that easy. So from there, once I'm finished creating my program, I then have the option to send it to an LMS system or to download and you know, package in another way, all of which we can talk about with partnership. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch the Curriki Learning Studio demo, and we are looking forward to speaking with you about how we can co-create an awesome learning experience. Thank you.